Today we're going to cast on a sock, and we're also going to knit the ribbing. So I want to thank first Laurie, I'm going to mess her name up, of course, Trzynski, who has graciously donated her time, efforts, and letting you have the free pattern, even though it's a paid-for pattern on Ravelry. Make sure that you support designers where you can. We all understand that times are difficult, but if you can, support Laurie in her venture to be a great designer. This is a really good pattern for simple shorty socks, and these are worked cuff down. So on that note, I just want to get you up to speed before we start, making sure that you have the proper stuff that we all have around us. I'm going to be using magic loop because that's my preferred way of doing it. I learned using DPNs, and I still could do that, but if you're using DPNs, this may confuse you. It may not confuse you, but you can also use 9-inch circs, which hurt my hands. I've decided that that's why I don't like them. They hurt my thumbs, having arthritis. So you can use whatever you want. And that's all I'm going to say on that. I will be using magic loop. I have a couple things that I do differently than this pattern does. I'm going to put them out there. You certainly don't have to do them. One of the things, and I'll mention it as I cast on and do all the things, I do not, for my first row after cast on, I do not do ribbing. I knit around. And then the second go, I knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, or whatever the rib is. In some cases, a designer may decide to do knit one, knit two, purl two. That again is my preference. I prefer knit one, purl one. So that's what I'm doing for my knit. Please do whatever makes you the most comfortable. And if you want to follow this pattern word for word, that's what the pattern calls for, is knit two, purl two. The second thing that I do differently is that cast on row, knit all the way around row, and the first ribbing row, I do not join. I wait until my fourth row and then I join. The reason for this is that you can see things better. You can, for me, it's really just a see things better kind of thing, and it's not as fiddly that I find. Yes, you have two rows that are not joined together, but what you do is you take your long tail cast on, or whatever kind of cast on you use, however you would, and you mattress stitch those together and weave in that end. So those are two things that I do differently. Otherwise, we're pretty much on the same page. If that confuses you, I want you to follow the pattern. The pattern is well written. It's going to get you a pair of beautiful shorty socks, and I want to make sure that you're successful in sock knitting, and that's the goal. Again, I want to thank Laurie Trzynski, I'm hoping that's right, and thank her for her work. I was a little bit rude in not answering her emails quick enough. In June, June was a blur. And again, Laurie, I apologize. I'm hoping that you're still with us and you don't. I'm hoping that you are well and that you're ready to cast on socks. Come on, let's do this. Good morning. Hoping you can see this okay. This is my first foray into using this device. The pattern that we're using has been graciously gifted, as it is really a paid-for pattern. And I'll put the details below. But I'm going to be going very slow on these socks for those of you that don't feel that you have the skills. Because if you can knit, and you can purl, and you can increase, and you can decrease, really, and slip a stitch, you can do this. I've just cast on, and I'm doing my first row. Now, in the pattern, it says to start immediately with knit 1, purl 1 as your rib. And I have done that. And you see that also I have 2 sets of straight pattern. Nothing has been connected in the round at this point. I do those 2 things for a variety of reasons. Number 1, I have found that the top is a little bit neater when you knit the first row. Now, that's going to add another row to your instructions if that's what you choose to do. Totally up to you. That's just something that I do. I also don't immediately go into the round, and I do 2 rows that are straight stitching. Whoops. That are straight stitching, meaning that I don't put them in the round. And then when I go back and weave in this end, I do a little sew up those 2 rows to place them together. I'd say 80% of the time you can't even notice the difference. If I get sloppy or the yarn might not work out as well, you might be able to see a difference. I'm going slow for this first round because it's always more difficult when you've got just a cast on row. As you know, I'm almost to the end, and then what I will do is I will turn, again, not going in the round. Whoops, whoopsie daisy. This is challenging for somebody that doesn't see very well and that's trying to see through a phone that's on a ring. All right, so there's my first row. I'm doing the 64 stitches, and I'm using the Kobasi that you guys voted that I should use. Orange was a second, but this is the color of the yarn. Oh, Lordy. And it is called Kiwi. I am going to hope that you can see that because I sure can't through this contraption. But it's Kobasi by Haiku. I really like this yarn for summer socks, for summer shorties. So let's get back. Now this time, this is my first row of the pattern, my second row. I'm going to do the knit 1, purl 1 for 12 rows. This first row is straight, and right after this second row, which is the first row of the pattern, again, I hope this isn't confusing anyone. If so, please leave a comment below and I'll get you there. Again, cast on, 1 row, just knit, second row is the first row of the pattern, of the written pattern, and it's a knit 1, purl 1. After the first row of the written pattern, I'll make sure that these get hooked in the round. I hope you've all been well. It's hot out there. I hope you're keeping your hydration levels up. I found a wonderful product that helps with hydration. I got a little yarn boogie here. Okay, I got that yarn boogie out. I call it yarn barf when it comes from the inside of the skein, and those are usually commercial. I never pull from the inside of a skein. It creates tons of yarn barf, and I end up having to cut usually, and I do not like to do that. So I always pull from the outside. It doesn't fall in on itself and then create that mess that we all want to throw across the room. Just gently going through. You'll end on a purl. Now I'm going to show you how easy it is not to twist stitches. Let's hope I don't twist stitches. If you hear a whining dog, that's because she can't find her daddy right at the moment. He's out doing things with the RV. We've had some RV issues. Okay, here's my working yarn. I didn't count. There's supposed to be 32 according to the 64, but I'll fix that later, or you can fix it now. This is going to be row 3, and you just need to continue to row 12. And when you're finished with row 12, come back and we'll talk about the next part. Good luck. If you run into any problems, put your questions down below, and I will really try to help.